Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Miranda. Today I want to share a testimony of a situation I just came out of, a season which I feel like was like the lowest point of my life. But I told the Lord that I would share my testimony because He brought me out of it. I'm here to tell the story. So, um, I guess I'll start out like previously on my channel. I shared my testimony about how I had been evicted in 2023, May of 2023, and me and my kids, we stayed at an extended stay, and then my car was repossessed. So I decided to send my kids to Mississippi to live with family, and while they were gone, I moved to a shelter. While I was at the shelter, I started a new job at a hotel as a housekeeping manager. And before I left the shelter, because I was only allowed like 90 days to stay there, um, I got a new car. And then the kids came home for spring break. We went back to the extended stay after I left the shelter. So they were here for a week. And once they left, I was still staying at the extended stay, but I wasn't um, making I felt like I wasn't saving enough money because I had to get a place by the time the kids were supposed to come back, which was going to be in July 2024. So I made the decision to move my things out of extended stay, put it in my storage, and I decided that I was going to sleep in my car. So from April of 2024 to July 2024, I stayed in my car. Some nights I would go get a hotel room and stay a couple of nights or something. But for the most part, I stayed in my car, and I didn't tell anybody. I didn't want. I felt like I was doing what I had to do, and I didn't want nobody to try to tell me not to do it, or they was if I told my family, it was gonna be like, you need to come home, and I was not trying to go back to Mississippi, so I didn't tell them. Um, okay, so April to July. So I got my place where I'm at right now in July 2024. And I was working at the hotel as a housekeeping manager. So once I moved here, the kids got back home, and all of a sudden, well, I feel like I wasn't I was like getting bored with what I was doing. I didn't feel challenged because I was just a housekeeping manager. I feel like all I was doing was checking rooms, doing a little paperwork here and there, but I just felt so stuck. Like, what am I supposed to be doing, Lord? What do you want me to do? Do you want me to quit this job? Like, I know you're not telling me to quit this job, and I just moved in this place, and I just overcame homelessness. So I know you're not telling me to quit the job. So, I think it's like the beginning of August, we had a new AGM, which is assistant general manager at the hotel. She stayed like 2 weeks, and before her, it was another AGM that she stayed like she was AGM for 2 months. But before the AGM that had stayed for 2 weeks before she started, my manager was like, Miranda, maybe you should take the position. And I was like, no, I don't think so. So all this is going on. I'm tired of the job. I'm like, Lord, do you want me to quit? So August come, the AGM, she quits. And I'm like, oh, maybe maybe I'll take the position if she offers it to me again. And she did, and I was like, okay, I'll take it, because I'm like, maybe this is what the Lord want me to do. Maybe He don't want me to quit. Maybe I'll just take this position. So I question, like, okay, He's not telling me to quit, but I start the position. Me and my manager, we were close, because I told in my testimony, I told you how she helped me and my kids with new. She gave us a couch, a dresser, mattress, and stuff like that. Like, she really helped me, and she was really good to me. But once I started this position, it's like everything like just went wrong, and we were not getting along at all, like not at all. And I'm like, why is this happening? Why? So I think it's like October, the beginning of October, and I'm hearing the Lord say to quit, to put in my 2 weeks notice, and I'm still not listening. And then I think like a situation happened when one of our front desk agents quit, and it was just a lot of things going on at that place. It was just so toxic, and I was just be stressed out. It was just a lot of mess, a lot of gossip, of just a work environment that I did not want to be in. It was just messy, toxic, for real. So one day I came to work at 7 o'clock on a Saturday. Was it a Saturday? Yeah, it was a Saturday. I was supposed to get off at 3 o'clock, but the front desk agent, she quit. Or she called in. So I asked my other agents, could they front desk agents, could they come in, and nobody could come in. So since I'm the manager, and so the manager did not volunteer to come in, so I stayed from 7 o'clock that morning to 11 o'clock that night. And then the next day, that front desk agent quit. So I was there from 7 o'clock that morning to like 7 o'clock that night. And not one time did my manager, it's not just, I'm your assistant manager. You are the manager. And both days, I have kids too. Like, she did not come in and help me or relieve me or let me go home. It was just a mess. So I'm like, this not it. I had a panic attack that night when I went home, on my way home. It was just a whole mess. So the next day, I had wrote up my 2 weeks notice. Well, actually, I had wrote it up a couple of weeks before that. So I wrote it up. I changed the date on it, and I printed it out. I took it to her. And the way she reacted was like, I was like, yes, I'm making the right decision. We had a whole little argument. I had to walk out because I was like, Lord, I'm not about to let her take me out of character. And I'm not out. You know how you be when you want to go upside somebody's head. And that's how I was. I was like, Lord, yep, let me go. And that's how toxic that place was. So I put in my notice. I finished my 2 weeks. And I decided that I was just going to do DoorDash. I was supposed to be posting on YouTube, writing. But what did I do? I was just here. It was like the next day after my last day of work, my battery stopped, went out. My kids and I were at Dollar Tree, and the car wouldn't start, so the battery went out. I had to spend money on that. I'm like, I'm like, Lord, why? Why did you tell me to quit? Why? Is it you or was it just me? Why is this happening? So, but anyway, I'm doing DoorDash. I was making, I think I'm like my first week, I made like almost $700 for that week. After I left, and I was doing good, but it was like I wasn't focusing on what I was supposed to be focusing on, which is what happened to me in May of 2023 when I was evicted. It was because I was supposed to be in my purpose and doing what I was supposed to be doing, but I wasn't. I was being disobedient, and the Lord caused a drought on my finances once again. So I know why I'm in a situation, but I'm still like stressed and worried about bills and just focusing on my bills and making money and my bills and idle and knowing that the Lord is my provider, but I'm feeling like, okay, so all this going on. Then I think it's Thanksgiving. My kids, I took them, they went home for Thanksgiving break. And what happened? I think the wheel bearing on my car went messed up on the driver's side. And that was like almost $200 I had to spend out. I'm like, Lord, and so it's about to be time to pay rent for December. And I'm spending money out because I gotta make my car payment, and I have to pay my car insurance. And if I don't pay my car insurance, they're gonna come pick my car up. So I have to decide what bill I'm gonna pay. And I still have like my last check that I had in November. So I'm scrambling, trying to get everything together. Then one day while I'm doing DoorDash, I lost my red card. That's the card that you use when you go shop, do DoorDash shopping, like at CVS or something like that. Those are like the highest paying orders. So I lost my card in it, and I had to wait like 10 days. It was like actually like 12 days before my card came, and there was like a significant loss of income right there, because I don't think I was only bringing like $200, because the high paying orders are shopping orders, and that's where most of my money was coming from. So I'm like, Lord, why is this happening? I'm questioning myself, like, I know I should have stayed at the job. Maybe I should have stayed. Maybe I should have just sucked it up and just stayed at the job. So it's December, rent due. After the 10th, it's like, well, after the 3rd, it's late, and they add a fee. After the 10th, they filed eviction. So they filed the eviction. I think it was on my door on the 19th, December 19th or something like that. And this is like a week before Christmas. And I'm like, I think I had like $1,400 saved. And my rent with that late fee was $1,900. So out of that money, I had to subtract paying for that wheel bearing. Then I had to pay my car insurance. And then I'm like, after that, there was like $600 subtracted from it. I'm like, Lord. So then I'm like, how am I gonna get my kids something for Christmas? I cannot. This is my first, like in 10 years, this is our first year, me and my kids actually celebrating Christmas on Christmas Day together. Because since we've been in Georgia, they always go home and I stay here because I be having to work. So I'm like, how am my kids are 17 and 15. I knew they would understand, but I didn't get them everything on their list, but I spent like $250 on my kids some gifts. Like, it wasn't much, but I feel like I had to get them something. So I think I had like, I don't know how much I had. I don't know. It wasn't much. So I'm like still going. I had, by that time, I think it was like a couple days before Christmas, I got the court date because I had to file within 7 days. And they called me like the next day. I'm like, I was thinking they was gonna save me some time because it's almost the new year. I'm like, okay, maybe I'll have more time because it's almost New Year and Christmas and stuff. So maybe they're gonna push it back. But no, they called me the next day, and the date they gave me was the day after New Year, January 2nd. I'm like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. I'm sorry, Lord, for saying, oh my God, oh my God. But so Christmas come, me and my kids celebrate. After Christmas, I keep working, doing DoorDash. I had called around to a few places to get assistance, but I couldn't. I didn't ask my family because my family they didn't know that I had quit my job. They didn't know I was behind on rent, and it was just a mess. So the whole time before my court date, I know my court date is approaching, and I know that I don't have all the money in the apartment. Well, the property manager, they do not accept partial payments. So I'm like, okay. So I'm like, Lord, I feel like you told me to quit my job, and like, why is everything going haywire? So that's why I started questioning. Like, he didn't tell me, mate, this is just me. I'm messing up. And so where was I? That's why I had to keep my notes, because I'll be all over the place, y'all. I was just oof. So it's after Christmas and everything, all that is out the way. I worked, try to get some more money up, but I knew I wasn't gonna be able to come up with, because by that time, after the court, they added court fees, so I owed $21.58, and I probably had like less than $1,000. I'm like, how am I about to do this? I didn't call somebody for help because they didn't know, and I didn't want to, because I just came out of a situation previously in 2023. I'm just getting in this place, and here I am going through the situation again. And I'm asking myself, why am I going through the situation again? But after all this happened, I know what it's about. It was a lesson that I had to learn, and I learned my lesson. So one night, I was doing DoorDash, and I think I was out there like 2 hours, and I had only made like $8, something like that. So I just turned the app off, and it had started raining, and I drove to the park by my house. It wasn't anybody in the park, so I was just in my car. I just cried out to the Lord. I'm crying, like screaming loud, like talking loud, crying, snot going everywhere, like just going through it. And I'm telling the Lord, like, why does my life have to be this hard? How long am I have to go through this? Like, why is this happening? And I'm like, Lord, this has to be the last month. This has to be the last year that I go through this. Like I have to work so hard. I have to toil. I have to struggle. Like my kids are 17 and 15, and most of their lives I have been struggling with them. I'm putting them through this situation. Like, how long am I gonna have to go through this, Lord? And then I changed it. And I'm like, I declared and decreed over my life, like, Lord. At first I was saying it has to be. Then I was like, this is going to be the last month and the last year where I'm going to be struggling and not having enough. So I cried. I stayed out there like an hour just crying and talking to God. And before I felt peace. So after I went home, that night I tossed and turned. While I was sleeping and while I was dreaming, I kept hearing Psalm 91. And when I woke up, I remembered Psalm 91. So I looked it up. I didn't know what Psalm 91 was. Let me pull it up. So basically, it's like, I'm just making the phone shake. I'm sorry. Psalm 91. Let me read Psalm 91 for y'all. Oh, this King James Version. Let me see. I want to read the NIV. Okay, Psalm 91. Whoever dwells in the shelter of the Most High will rest in the shadow of the Almighty. I will say of the Lord, He is my refuge and my fortress, my God, in whom I trust. Surely He will save you from the foul snare and from the deadly pestilence. He will cover you with His feathers, and under His wings you will find refuge. His faithfulness will be your shield and rampart. You will not fear the terror of night, nor the arrow that flies by day, nor the pestilence that stalks in the darkness, nor the plague that destroys at midday. 1,000 may fall at your side, 10,000 at your right hand, but it will not come near you. You will only observe with your eyes and see the punishment of the wicked. If you say, the Lord is my refuge, and you make the Most High your dwelling, no harm will overtake you. No disaster will come near your tent. For He will command His angels concerning you to guard you in all your ways. They will lift you up in their hands so that you will not strike your foot against a stone. You will tread on the lion and the cobra. You will trample the great lion and the serpent. Because He loves me, says the Lord, I will rescue him. I will protect him, for he acknowledges my name. He will call on me, and I will answer him. I will be with him in trouble. I will deliver him and honor him with long life. I will satisfy him and show him my salvation. So that's what I read. And I took it as like, I just felt peace. I was like, Lord, the Lord got me. He got me. He got me. So I think this is a couple days. I think this was probably the day before, so the day before New Year's Eve that this happened. So the court date is approaching quickly. So I was still just working, trying to come up with what I can come up with, thinking that when I go to the court date that they will at least accept a payment plan and accept what I have, and then give me a certain date. Okay, so the court date gets here. I go to court. I'm praying. I'm saying Psalm 91 on my way there, praying. And when I go to court, get there, the leasing agent or property manager that was there, I was like, I spoke with somebody. I had asked one of the leasing agents, was it a possibility for me to do a payment plan? He said they don't accept partial payments, but maybe at court I could set up a payment plan. But she said no, that she was given instructions to just get a 7-day rent. So when we saw the judge, that's what he asked, did we want to set up a payment plan? And she said that she was given instructions from her manager to do the 7-day rent. So he granted it and gave me 7 days. I had 7 days, like I think it was the 2nd, so I had until January 9th to move. So when he said that, I was just sitting, she's on one side, I'm on one side. I just started crying, and the judge was looking at me, she was looking at everybody, just looking like, oh, they was just so, like they felt so sorry for me. And the judge gave me like a resource paper to help me. I'm like, I took the paper, I said thank you, and the lady was like, when we went outside, I just broke down. I had snot everywhere, and she was just looking like, oh my gosh. And I think she said something about me, if you can come up with it before the end of the 7 days and something like that. But it was just going in one ear, and I was zoned out. But I did hear that part as I sat down and we was just waiting on the paperwork. And we got the paperwork. I went to the car. I was just going through it. I felt so many emotions. I felt like the Lord had left me. I really felt like I felt alone. I felt because none of my family knew what was going on. I just really feel like the Lord was not with me, even though He had just gave me Psalm 91. I'm like, where are you then, Lord? What happened? Like, I just knew that I was gonna get a payment plan or something, but they actually gave me 7 days to move. I'm being evicted. So I'm mad, I'm sad, I'm hurt, I felt lost. I was just like so over it. I was like, oh, I could not imagine telling my children that we about to go, that I'm putting them in this situation again. I was so hurt. Like, I was just going through, and I sent my kids a text message like, I did not want to be here. Before all of this, before the court date, I was telling the Lord, I don't know if I can take any much more. Lord, you said you wouldn't put more on me than I can bear. And I can't bear this. I cannot go through another eviction. I cannot put my kids through this again. And I don't know what I'm going to do. But the whole time, I'm thinking like, I'll be better off. I don't want to be here no more. That's what I was thinking. And when I left court, I was just going through it. I went by the liquor store. I'm not gonna lie. And I bought 2 shots of Smirnoff or something like that. And I went home. I was in my just sitting in the garage. I turned the car off, and I drank 2 shots. And then I was this crazy that I'm just telling my business like this, but I was just going through it. I was over it. I felt like the Lord was done with me. Like, the fact that I was getting evicted, that they said that they weren't gonna do a payment plan, I just felt like it was over. And I feel like the Lord was just angry with me that I hadn't started writing. I hadn't been posting to YouTube like I said I was. I was just done. I was so done. I sent my kids a message, like, basically saying like, I'm sorry that I'm not a good mom and that I can't get it together. like I was like at the point of giving up. And so I left. I did leave, and I went up the street and parked at in this little field that I just like to go there at night and look at the stars and stuff and the moon, because I live in the country. So I went there, and I was just sitting there, and I sent the kids. Well, I think I sent the kids the message, and they started calling. So I'm like a minute from the house. I came back to the house, and I was just in the car. I locked the door. I went and unlocked the door, and I was crying. And I guess I scared them so bad. My youngest daughter, she called the police. But by the time the police came, I had got out the car, because they just thought I was going to take myself out. And I was there. That's where my mind was. Like, I did not want to be here. I felt like my kids would be better off without me. That's the kind of mind frame I was in right at that point. So I go in the house, I go lay in the bed. The police come. They talk to me. Then they call up DFACS. It's like Child Protective Services here in Georgia. We call it DFACS. So they recommended me to go to the hospital because for whatever, yeah, because of how I was thinking. So I had to go to the hospital. I went to the hospital, and I had to speak with a behavioral therapist or something. I don't know. And she recommended me to go to an inpatient hospital to get treatment for depression. So I was in hospital from the 2nd I stayed overnight at the hospital here in Cartersville, and then I had to go to the inpatient hospital for treatment. And they gave me medicine for depression and my high blood pressure medicine. It was just a mess. And my kids, I had scared my kids so bad. I just felt bad. I felt bad. And the next day, when I left the hospital in Cartersville, and I went to the other hospital for treatment, and I hadn't had my phone all night, so I hadn't talked to my kids. I hadn't talked to anybody in my family. But my kids were staying with I'm gonna call him my friend. They were here, but since they are old enough to be here alone, they stayed here, and he just stayed. Came to make sure they ate and stay here at night or whatever. But the next day, I think, because my grandma, she gonna call me. She texts me, and if I don't text her or something, I knew she was gonna end up calling me. And my oldest daughter, she called my oldest daughter when she couldn't get in touch with me, and my daughter told her I was at the hospital, and that whole big thing, and she called my mom, and everything just went. Everybody found out everything. I'm sorry. That I quit my job. They found out I quit my job, and that it's January now. I think it was January 3rd then. So I'm behind on December. January rent is due now. So, and everybody just scared and like wondering why I'm having a mental breakdown. But so while I'm there at the hospital, it was like I had peace. I thought I didn't have my phone. I was in our room with like 4 other ladies, and one of them was this young girl. Lord, thank you for the people. But anyway, I really did have so much peace there, and I had a lot of time to think. But the whole time I was like, how am I gonna get this rent paid? And now I'm stuck here. I can't move my stuff or nothing. And I was just thinking about how in the Bible, who was it? I can't think of his name. Zechariah? Was Zechariah when Elizabeth? Yeah, please don't follow me, because but he wasn't allowed to speak because he was gonna mess up the blessing, I guess. I don't know, but I didn't have no control. I didn't have my phone. I couldn't do nothing. I had to have my mom to call the places, call the property manager, and they wasn't answering the phone. I was like trying to see if I could still pay and stay and whatever, but I didn't have any control. I had no choice but to surrender to the Lord. So I'm sitting here for like 6 days, no control. All I had time to do was pray. All the books there. I could watch TV, but it was just one TV, one phone that everybody have to use. And this one girl would stay on there an hour at a time. They had books to read. You can color, like, no. The books that was there to read was like some old books, and I'm like, no. But they did have 2 Bibles there, and that's all I was doing. I was reading the Bible, praying, and the Lord would tell me to pray for the people. There's one girl, this young black girl. Well, she's probably not young. She's probably like my age, in her 30s. But the Lord called me to pray for her, and then I also heard after the Lord called me to pray for her, she asked me. She was just sitting there because she's not in her right mind, and I was just remembering thanking the Lord. Please, thank you, Lord. I was just so grateful, like, that I'm in my right mind, even though I'm going through depression and all these thoughts. Like, I'm in my right mind, because the people that were there is like crazy. So the Lord was calling me to pray for the people. And this lady that I'm talking about, she was just sitting there. She was like lost in thought or something. I was like, "Are you okay?" And she was like, "Just pray for me, pray for my healing." And the Lord had already told me to pray for her. So I've been praying for her ever since I left there. I think about her all the time, and I just hope that she's okay. But the Lord was calling me to pray for the women that were there, and it wasn't a terrible place. I ate good, and I had a lot of time to think. But I was still in the back of my mind thinking, what am I gonna do when I get home? And my mom and my dad, they was like, "It's gonna be okay, it's gonna be okay. Don't worry about it, don't stress yourself out, just stay there, and they'll let you go home soon." So, because it was involuntarily, like, it was mandatory that I stay there until they let me go. Basically, like I was in jail. But November 7th comes. I have 2 more days before it's time for me to move, and I don't have nothing to do. I don't have no money. It's besides the little money that I had, less than $1,000. I get home. Oh, I forgot a part. The whole time I was there, I kept asking the Lord, because when I was at the hospital, I thought I was gonna be able to go home the next day or that night, and then I ended up there for like 5 more days, and I'm like, "Lord, what?" I kept the whole time I was there. I could be taking a shower, or I'd be praying, and I'd be like, "Lord, what's the point of all of this? What's the point of it all?" And I kept thinking about the Anthony Hamilton song, but this is what I kept saying: "What's the point of it all?" So when I was on my way home, the Lord spoke to me, because I was still thinking, like, what's the point? What was the point? What's the point? Why am I having to go through this? And he said, "It's for my glory. It's for my glory." So I was just meditating on it. I just kept thinking about it. I made it home. I called my mom and my dad. My dad asked me how much money did I need. And my dad, when he was not the person I was expecting to help me. I'm just gonna say that he was not the person that I was expecting to help me. But I told him the total that I owe, which is like, with December and January's rent and the late fees, it was like $4,066. So he sent me $2,000. I had money saved, and my mom sent me money, and my brothers, 2 of my brothers sent me money, and I got it. I had all the money. I had just enough to pay all the money that I owed for December and for January. So I was just still calling around. I couldn't get in touch with the property manager for nothing. So they don't have an office where I live. They have another property. So I had to drive over there, and he wasn't there, but the lady that was at court, she was there. And I was like, are you all gonna be able to accept my rent? And she was like, "Yes, we definitely can accept your rent." So I got my money orders, I paid it. And I'm like, I'm still like, "Lord, what's the point? What's the point of this? What's the point of this?" After all of it, everything has settled down. I got my rent paid. Like, I was not thinking. I felt like it was over. I really felt like it was over. But I got my rent paid. $4,066 paid in full. I got it paid, like, and I really thought the Lord, because the fact that I got help from my family that much money. It's crazy. That's the Lord. That's the Lord right there. That's the Lord. That's the Lord. That's all I got to say about that. And the Lord, I kept thinking about when he said, it's all for his glory. It's all for his glory. And he said that what he's about to do in my life, everybody gonna know that it was him. It's him. It's the Lord. Because they just witnessed everything that I went through. They witnessed all the financial situations and that I went through recently and before, and what's about to happen in my life, what the Lord is about to do. Everybody gonna know that it's him, and it's gonna be for his glory. Oh, I'm just all over the place. It was something else I was supposed to be sharing, but I'm just gonna end it here. Well, let me go through my notes. I'm sorry, I'm not all over the place, but it's like the Lord has a bigger plan, like for my family. I've said how I'm the generational curse breaker in my family, and I feel like I put myself in situations, but some situations is like I'm about to be the one to break the curse of poverty on my family. I'm about to be the first millionaire in my family. Just mark my words, I am. And I don't even really be caring too much about money. I think that's why I don't really be having it, because I don't be caring about money. I just be wanting my bills paid. But the Lord knows that he can entrust me with it. I have this big vision, but I know that I got to do my part. And that's what the Lord was doing all along. He needs me. I had a lesson to learn, and this situation has pushed me. Regardless when I post these videos and nobody watches, at least the Lord sees what I'm doing. The Lord sees me doing what he told me to do. So if people watch it, that's great. If they don't, that's great. That's cool. But as long as I know that I'm doing my part, that's all that matters. But anyway, if you are going through a hard season yourself right now, I just want you to know that the Lord, he sees you. You might feel like he is not listening, or he's not anywhere around, but trust me, he is already working it out for you. He's already working it out. Trust him, please. Surrender your situation to him. Trust him. Like, because I really thought my situation was over. I thought I was just over it. I'm not gonna lie, I was over it. But please believe the Lord, what you're going through, the Lord is going to work it out for your good and for his glory. But thank you so much for listening. If you stayed all the way through and watched the whole video, thank you for listening. I know I'm all over the place, but oh, my lips dry. But that's one of the reasons why I do not want to be on YouTube, but that's what I gotta do. I'm sorry, but thank you for watching. Thank you for listening, and I'll be back soon.